so much for joining for another episode of Transportation Insights. I'm your host, Nadine Nocero-Tye, and I look forward to sharing another great episode of details on sales and marketing challenges, industry trends, and growth opportunities in the transportation and logistics space. Today, I'm joined by Dave Sosnowski, Chief Sales Officer at SGP Logistics, and Dave's going to be talking to us about how to showcase value, scaling your brand, and what it means to really differentiate in the transportation and logistics space. Dave, I'd love to hand it over to you so you can introduce yourself to our viewers and our listeners, and they can get to know you a bit better.
Great. Good morning, Nadine. Thanks for having me. Yes, I am the Chief Sales Officer for STG Logistics and been in that position since 2018. My background is heavily in logistics, starting back in the late 80s, believe it or not, as young as I look. And, I like to say, I hear people talk about the scars from the industry or really any business they're in. And for me, it's just been a ton of teachable moments. Worked for some great companies. One of them was Emery Worldwide, where I started and spent 9+ years with them prior to being acquired by UPS. A company that was in business for over 50 years, really did things right. So I started off on a real good footing and got excited in the business. Then I was very fortunate to spend some time with Eagle Global Logistics, and those out there probably remember that name, now SEVA. Just did some tremendous things in growth and becoming who they are today. And others as well. I won't get into all those details, but just a lot of experience from the air freight side, transportation in the U.S., and landed me here with all this experience to do what we're doing today at STG Logistics, which is really some exciting stuff.
Great. Thank you so much, Dave. We're excited to dive in on these teachable moments, as you've mentioned. And a big theme in your introduction really talks about company growth, acquisition, change in brand. So I'd love to dig in on that a bit today as we look at showcasing value as sales leaders, as marketing leaders. Talk to me about when you joined STG, what you've been tasked with, what your goals are, and really how we got to the problems or, the nut of that to crack.
Yeah, no, like I like to say when I talk about these teachable moments, we never know everything in this business, right? As many years as I've been in the forwarding business, joining STG was extremely unique. We are a conglomerate since really 2017 of bonded facilities that we started acquiring over, since 17. A lot of that business, when you get into it, we're a lot of mom and pops, and I really hesitate to call them mom and pops because these are big companies. St. George, which a lot of people know, AZ, CDC in Chicago. Our strategy when I first joined was to be in every major market with bonded facilities as a neutral company that services the big forwarders, the NVOs, could take care of business for them. So really be a partner with multiple people. And my task was really to get that out there and let people know we're not just this company or that company, but we are one company that someone can work with and have things in every market instead of working with multiple companies. In addition, we do a lot with our technology and communication and our network outside of our bonded facilities, which we'll talk about as well. So the challenge really was to tell people, we're not St. George, which a lot of people, that's our oldest company we acquired, and people still today think that way. And that's okay, because there's a lot of good value from that name. But we are STG Logistics, and I'd almost say that's been my credo, like a chant. We are STG Logistics. So it's been fun in getting that out there and being able to partner with these companies in more ways than just being in a single location.
Absolutely. That was a fantastic overview, and something I think so many brands and organizations struggle with, whether you have that legacy that St. George has and had, and how you rebrand towards this new total solution or partnership, or you're a new company who's really looking to grow and scale. It's all about how do you communicate that message? How are you consistent with it? And then how are you going to market on it? So before we get into the solve and some of the examples of how you put this brand message out, I'd love to talk a little bit about what are some of the misconceptions you've seen in the industry? What are some issues you found with trying to put this solution in place. Can you give us a little bit of that insight on the steps along the way, things that either surprised you or, you knew you'd have to solve a challenge for?
Well, I think one of the biggest challenges is, like I mentioned, we're individual companies that we've been
Mm-hmm.
acquiring, right? The first thing you got to get past is, we're more than St. George. We're more than Summit. We are this a network, and we're not just somebody that's come in and bought the companies and then we're just letting them do their own thing. We have a vision of what it looks like to be together as companies working together internally, which means, we've had to structure things, take people out of their individual organizations and bring them into the fold and really let them know they're a part of something special. So it starts
Mm-hmm.
internally before you can go out to your customers and say, hey, we're great. A lot of companies can go out there, they put something together and they show you and say, look how great we are. And that's not that simple. You've got to get buy-in from the people that are leading the organization. So we've really spent a lot of time structuring internally, making sure there's a lot of sense of pride and ownership. And before you can convince people out there in the market and their customers who you are, internally, you have to believe who you are. So that's really how we've got to set that thing up. And now I see it. I see the passion in our people. When they talk about STG Logistics, I spent a lot of time just people saying St. George. No, we're STG Logistics. I've corrected people everywhere I go, and I actually got a kind of a reputation here in the first year as the STG guy.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like fun and games, but it wasn't to me. It was fun to say, hey, I could be that guy. But more importantly, it was to get people to remember, what is it, just a name, or does it mean something? And to us, it means something.
Absolutely. I want to take a time out on that specifically because as an agency partner who comes in and works with companies just like yours all the time, it is such a misconception that sales and marketing are just external. And it's all about what are you putting forward to your prospects, to your customers, to your brand evangelists. But you hit the nail on the head that until you believe it and you feel it internally and you have that company cultural shift, it's never going to go as far as you need it to go externally in that sales and marketing world. So I think you really hit the nail on the head on it's first an internal messaging strategy. It's an internal understanding of who you are and where you're going, and then how you outwardly communicate that. So I think that is an A+ recommendation.
Yeah, and live it and breathe it, right? It's one
Yeah.
thing to just say, here's who we are, go do it now. What does it mean? And it's got to mean something to your team internally, and then you can go out and really, change the world, so to speak, or at least get a change of understanding.
Yes, yes, I love it. So thank you so much for walking us through a very common misconception there. As we go back to talking about what you've been tasked with and some of the solutions around it, you guys have recently launched a new website. I'd love to talk a little bit more about what you've seen in that evolution and the success around it.
Sure. Yeah. We first of all have very good functioning systems that are back behind us, right? So one, call it our secret sauce is that you can go in, you can see where your freight is, you can know what's going on, you can get all the documents that you need. We're very far ahead of our competition because those that are still out there are single in the market. They, again, not bad companies. They just might not be able to have the investments and the things that we put into it. So I think it all really starts there, and how you present yourself and being able to function. Now with the website functions, which is great. But I call it archaic, and anyone in the industry knows if you get a website that's 7, 8 years old, right? It's static. You get it on your phone and you have to open it up, that whole thing. You're like, geez, I can't even read this. So really that to us was important. Yeah, to be able to go to your phone. People are on the fly. They need to just be able to put a reference number, house bill in, look and see, be able to learn about the company on the fly, go to the menu. So we definitely wanted it to be functional for our small devices or our iPads or whatever, but then just the look and feel when you go online, whether it's on your laptop or your computer, right? So I'd like to say anyone that has an old version, go take a look, and then look now, just night and day, much fresher videos, tutorials explaining to customers, who we are in detail. we try to give customers as much as we can. And we did that same thing on the flip side with the intranet. So again, the intranet is really important internally for your internal customers, your employees to know, back to that buy-in, so not only did we do what you're seeing on the internet, which is our website, but we've done it internally with our intranet and all the documents and things that we do. So these are things that 4 years ago just didn't even really exist in the company because you had a bunch of different companies. So yeah, we're really
Absolutely.
about that website, and we got a lot of good feedback on just how good it looks, including yourself. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. It's
Yeah.
one of the big reasons we're here to talk today. And you've said it already, but your business has been growing aggressively. Things have changed pretty dynamically over the last few years. How does this work for you? And what should high growth companies consider or be thinking about as it relates to growth and your sales and marketing strategy and process?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of sounds silly, but it's not, or basic, but it's, first of all, it's listening to your customers, right? Really understanding what are their needs. How do we integrate? As you're growing fast, you just want to do, right? Like, hey, we're just going to change this or change that. But before we make changes, we talk to our customers first, and especially our top customers, the ones that are driving a good portion of your business. And don't get me wrong, we don't discount all of our customers. Um, but really getting, verbal with your top customers, understanding what they're thinking. Are they agreeing with what we're doing, right? Can we work as partners when we're making these changes? These are the things I think is so important. And a lot of companies get in and they just are on fire, right? They see an opportunity, they can grow, they can invest in it, and they forget to ask their customers, do you guys need this? Is this something
Mhm.
that would be helpful? Or if you're making changes that might be somewhat uncomfortable, having a talk with them first and getting their buy-in. So I spend a lot of time in my job getting the buy-in of our partners. I don't even really call them customers. We address our customers as partners in everything that we do.
I love to hear it. In our agency, we often talk about, how do you make your customer your hero, and how do you build your brand and your business and the way you do business to support them. So it sounds like you guys are really living that ethos, and it's fantastic to hear, and has to be one of the many reasons why you're as successful as you are.
Well, it's one of the main reasons I have a lot of fun with what I do, because I feel like when you're getting buy-in, you're working together, you come from that space. Even when a customer may be upset about something, but you're there to try and help them, and keeping your calm. This is what we try to talk to about with all our people, not just the commercial team, but everyone that works for us. There's going to be
100%.
problems, Nadine. There's always going to be problems.
Yes.
There's issues. You're not going to be that great vendor. You're going to probably be the worst that they've ever seen someday, right? And somehow you
Right.
got to walk them through and talk it through, and really find out, are we as bad as we were in that particular situation? And be honest
Right.
with yourself and say, you know what, that this we didn't do good here. And I think the more you can own that with your customers and say, hey, we tried this time, we hear you loud and clear, we made some mistakes, and just own it. It's like anything in life, just own it.
Absolutely. Hard truths, transparency, and how you react. It's so much more than what actually happens. So I think that's fantastic advice.
Yeah, good point.
Wonderful. Well, anything you'd like to leave our viewers and listeners with before I ask you on how they can best reach you or get a hold of you?
Yeah, I think this is a great opportunity to talk about what everybody is talking about, which is all those boats on the water, right? I mean, whether you're in LA or now New Jersey, whether you're all overseas in China, right? I mean, boats are stacking up, and those who aren't in the industry say, what is going on, right? Well, it's been a compilation of a lot of things. I mean, not only the labor being out, but due to COVID,
Mhm.
but just your transportation network. We've had a lot of things happen with us right now. Besides taking the things into the facility, into our bonded facilities, we are responsible, and we offer a product that moves the final mile through rail. So
Mhm.
our rail network goes, to each of our major cities, gets out for distribution. And when you start losing capacity, we can bring only so much in, and then to try and get it out of your building. And we always talk about it. There's only so much capacity, right, in so many facilities. So we are working hard to stay on our toes, to clear things out, get more space where we can. And I think the biggest thing I can leave customers with, and the hardest thing I've had over the last 2 years, is really explaining why prices just keep going up. I think people think, oh gosh, these guys are taking advantage, and not just us, but whoever is out there, right? Taking advantage, raise the rates when you can. We have been really put in a position where we have to, right? The costs are going up, drivers are scarce. Their rates have doubled, tripled in some cases, right? And
Yes.
you have to pass that on in a way that's sensitive, understanding. So I think I would leave the viewers out there that it's extremely challenging. There's a lot of good people working at this, and we're working at it together with our customers, with our vendors. I see light at the end of the tunnel. I'm amazed by how we've really made it through in a lot of cases. I mean, we've been at some very critical stages. Although you see those boats still out there, we've worked through where we're getting stuff to places. When we're moving it better. It's not taking 8 weeks anymore. It's down to the 4 weeks. We're going to keep pushing things down. So it's not just sitting there, raise the rates and smile. We're every day just as feeling the critical nature of what we need to do to improve. And I just want people to understand that. And I see really bright times ahead for us.
Absolutely. Well, Dave, thank you so much for joining us today. And I think that the way that you've ended our conversation today is indicative of who you are and the brand you live, which is glass half full and very optimistic. And I'm equally as excited and couldn't agree more. So thank you so much for your time today. Dave Sosnowski, Chief Sales Officer of SGT Logistics.
Nadine, one more thing. You were going to leave it where you can find us,
yes.
right? So the
yes,
website we
please.
talked about, stgusa.com. So if you want to see what this new fancy website's all about, please take a click and a look. And then, of course, on LinkedIn, you can find us under STG Logistics. We are out there posting regularly just to keep people up to date. We also have a newsletter which we send out to our customers. So easily you can get on there through our website if you want to sign up and learn more. And we share all kinds of things, not just about who we are to sell us, but we'll share with you what's going on out in the industry, interesting articles. We like to feel it's a good place to go if you just want to learn about what's happening in the logistics business, not just with STG.
That is a final tip, thought leadership from STG Logistics. So please join them on their website, follow them on LinkedIn. I will include all of those links for you guys at the bottom of this video description today. So if you just scroll below, you'll be able to find them. Please subscribe and share this video if you thought that it was helpful. Dave, thank you again. And everyone else, have a great day.
Thank you.